Are you ready to get started?
I am.
Okay. All right. Thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk Patrick Podcast, one of the realest podcasts in the world, the land, the galaxy, the whole entire universe. This is your guy, Patrick, AKP Thriller, and I have a special guest, Mandy Morgan, right?
Yes.
All right. This is one of my buddies. She has a disability, and she living her life. She's doing a thing. So how's everything going?
It's going good. Should I just start talking about it? I was born with a disability known as cerebral palsy. I was born at, I would say, like a month and a half, 2 months early. My twin sister and I were supposed to be born April of that year, but we were born Valentine's Day instead. So we actually went home on our due date after 43 days. Our parents were told that we, or at least me, because once they found out I had cerebral palsy, that I wouldn't amount to much, like not be able to walk, talk, or anything. And I've long since passed that, obviously, and I live independently on my own. I've gone to college. I have my degree in social work. I'm a very big advocate for individuals with disabilities. I like to do social justice stuff for them, partially through my own experience, knowing that if I've experienced it, most likely someone else has who has felt maybe that they won't be heard. So I often take their voice and help to like make a difference with that, with our stories. Like I partner up with them, and just I really want to make a big difference in the world. So I just want to be seen, I guess, for what I can do rather than what the world feels I can't.
Well, you're doing a good job right now. You're making it happen.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you're very independent. You're out there, and it's no excuses at all. You're just doing it.
Yes, thank you.
And
very much.
it's empowering for me to keep going strong.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, have as far as like trying to be an advocate and social justice, have you met with any like type of adversity with that stuff? Any kind of pushback?
Oh yes, definitely. Okay. Sarcastically, I always joke about how people know my name for both good and bad because they say my name is coming and they're like, oh goodness, here it goes again. Because if I'm at like City Hall or somewhere,
you go to City Hall?
Yes,
okay.
I do.
Okay.
I've been to City Hall many times for city council meetings itself. I'm a member of the Disability Advisory Board with the City of Fort Collins, so I attend meetings once a month with them, and I'm very vocal, and I don't like to be shut down per se. So I think a lot of times, again, it's like, oh, here, like I don't want to say like the here we go thing because they know that I will fight until it's like not fightable anymore. So
absolutely.
Yeah, it's just, so I appreciate that within myself as well too, because even though I know that that's like dreaded for them, you know, you're making a difference when it makes other people uncomfortable.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. Mm-hmm. So do you feel like you're making a difference?
I hope so. I would say yes. Just because I was raised, I guess, in a certain sense of like, since from the beginning, it was always told like to expect the very minimal sometimes, that sometimes when somebody says no, that there's always another way to do it. My parents were very adamant in being like, she's going to be as independent as possible. Like we're going to find all the avenues that we can for her and like fight for that as well. So I think I just grew up knowing that same mindset to almost a deficit sometimes, if that's the appropriate way of saying it though, because sometimes now when it actually means no, I'm like, no, there's going to be another way to do it, and I'm going to keep going until I know I've done what I can do with that. And sometimes it really is like that's where the road ends for that. But I know when I take it upon myself and have it in my heart to either fight for myself or somebody else, that I'm going to do the most I can for that, so that like that chapter can be written off in my journey, I guess.
In your book of life.
Yes, exactly.
Nah, that's pretty cool though.
Like knowing what I did, yeah.
I can tell you're very passionate about it, so that's great.
Yes.
I hope you really do some big things, and I hope you're able to maybe get your name somewhere, like have your own street.
Yeah. I always joke about that, like, because so many people know me in this town because I'm a complete Fort Collins native. I was born at the hospital here and never left, so some people have known me since literally birth, obviously, and then, or just even since being in school. So I'll just hear like people calling out to me on the streets everywhere, and it's just like, hey, whoever that is, because I really don't even know who it was until they may tell me afterwards. But yeah. I just respond back, and it's just cool. And in some ways, I know that makes a difference too, because I have enough of a presence to be like the unicorn girl, as I often get referred to a lot as, because the wheelchair I refer to as the unicorn.
Mm-hmm.
And so people just know me as the girl that rides the unicorn. So even that, it's just like that mark, you're known for that.
So you're very popular, huh? You said I am. I think you are too.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think you told me they had your picture on the bus. You said that.
Let's see. I've done many campaigns, often for like just disability access. I was going to say advocacy, but that too within the access. So currently, there is actually posters from a campaign that I did last fall with Transport within the buses, just saying like everyone can ride Transport, and it just shows my picture getting on and off the bus. And I've also had my poster done at City Hall that was for like most excuse me.
Are you good?
Most outstanding advocacy, and that was up in their main what do you call it? Like award.
Oh yeah, I can't think of the technical name.
Yes,
yeah, right.
Like where they hang stuff for a while, and it stayed up for at least like way beyond past like the employee of the month that it would have been, I guess, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And so people knew me for that, and so many people were like sending it, being like, even though I had my own copies of the posters and the article from that itself, but people were just sending it to me being like, I saw you in the paper, because it was either in the Recreator and the paper itself. So I guess, yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
Just even the presence, I think, is what makes the difference, because people make that association with how they have that in their mind. So
yeah, that's pretty cool.
I think that makes a big deal. So
I should get your autograph before I leave.
Well, as I said, you can autograph my table.
Oh, sign table, yeah, I could do that. Nice.
So yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So what got you into going to school? Because you say you went to school for social work, right? So what got you into that?
Well, pretty much just all of that, really. I just wanted to make my existence matter for something much more beyond myself, because I've always felt like, growing up, it was just kind of like I knew I was like the odd one out, I guess, because people often ask me like, when did you know you were different? And I can't even really answer that. I would just say it was probably like once I started going to school, because you just realize, like, for lack of a better term, and I don't really like this, but that everybody's like able-bodied and you're not. So then you're just like, huh. And then just, growing up in that existence, it was always like kind of like an existential thing, like, what's the whole point of this for? And I mean, I'm the age that I am now, and I'm still kind of trying to answer that from day to day, sometimes hour by hour, but I just know that, like, I travel in this vessel to help others that, again, may not feel like they have the ability to, because society's been like, you're this disabled person over here, or they
write them off.
Yeah. They might not be able to, really, but they still face those adversities within everyday life too, and they just kind of physically can't voice it, or they don't know the avenues to correctly do it. So I've just always known that I want to do a lot with like policy change mostly, and just making a difference so that the world for individuals with disabilities can change, because there's still a lot like within ADA stuff, or individuals that get Social Security, like that keeps us all within like brackets of like really being able to grow beyond that and excel. So I always say someday you'll find me at Capitol Hill, finally at the big Capitol, just being like, this needs to change. And
I want to see that happen.
I know.
That'd be cool.
I have a friend that like wants to help campaign to really do that, but
with you a part of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like my other dream that's kind of a fun side of it too is, as you can tell, you're in like the Secret Garden Unicorn House here. Like it's just
yes,
very, very colorful and
it really is.
Butterfly-like and everything else. Like I just have that whimsical side of me, but I've always wanted to do like, and that's where the campaigning came from. So shout out to Jen if she's listening or when she listens to this.
Shout out to Jen.
Yes, Jen. Hey. But anyways, with that, like my fun side of the dream of like social justice anything is to make it to Disney one day. So hopefully nobody steals this idea. But
keep it to yourself then.
Okay. Yeah. Well, no, it's fine.
Okay.
I mean, maybe Disney will like find it and be like inspired by. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah.
But I still want to just have it out there. Maybe that's how you manifest it too. But so here we are.
Here we are.
But I've always thought it would be cool to become the social justice princess of Disney, because there isn't one, where the princess would resemble me, and every princess has a animal sidekick, counterpart, whatever, and hers would be the unicorns, but it starts out as her wheelchair and like morphs into the unicorn so that she can like do those things social justice wise within the story of her movie, and then I could like work at Disney as the one that dresses up like her, since it would be my story basically in like a Disney princess form.
Wow.
So that's where it came out to like,
that'd be pretty cool.
Like really just voyage to Disney and get that there. But so within those two things, I've always thought it'd be cool to really make like federal change so that individuals with disabilities can have access to the things to excel better in life. And then also just on the fun side, like being able to tell my story for like the younger generations of future Mandys, I always call it. Like I want to be able to give back at some point with having a career with SSI, like for all that's paid into it for me to be able to function and exist in the world as I have now. Like at some point I want to be able to like give that back to the future generation, little Mandys, I call it. So
wow, that's real profound.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was beautiful.
So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if the main people at Disney are listening to this, Patrick's podcast,
please listen. Yes.
Let's get that rolling. We'll take Z trip there and everything.
Yeah.
Just to get there.
Might as well, right? Yeah. You should do you draw? You don't draw, do you?
I don't, but my twin sister.
She can?
Does, yeah.
You should let her draw your character.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be pretty cool.
I've actually thought about that because my parents have always joked about how she was an artist and she picked up a crayon. And I've just been the one that like tells the stories with that. I mean,
that's art.
It is. I journal a lot too and do gratitude journaling every day and all of that. And I just feel like I've been the one that like narrates everything, but that's my gift in itself too, because that's again where the voice comes from.
Right.
I guess it was just like I came out screaming and I literally will probably go to the grave screaming. So yeah.
So do you feel that as far as with disability, you feel like society is getting better with that as far as like making accommodations?
I think honestly within like the current younger generations, like that's more like awareness of it, I would say, because like there's just more inclusivity about everything. Mm-hmm. So like with my nieces and nephews, as they've grown up, it's just been like, oh, well, that individual is like Mandy if they just see someone different within the store. Because they just, and how they approach.
So they're not judging at all.
Yeah, no, because they've grown up like knowing that people really just, I mean, everyone is, but just that people really can appear drastically different through having a disability, and just knowing that, someone's definitely arty or,
mm-hmm.
in there. So like you just interact with them how is appropriate. Like
Yeah.
carry on a conversation with them, and you can sometimes find your best friend. And so they just knowing at a young age how they were making that association, I was like, that's where the change is, because they will grow up being like everyone's equal.
So did you feel any type of discrimination as a child?
Um,
Because think about those days, it was a different time period.
yes.
It was back in the 20th century, people.
Yes. The dinosaur age.
The dinosaur age.
Like when we had dial-up phones and everything.
Beepers, yeah.
Yeah, totally. I think like looking back, there was a lot where my parents would have to, especially like elementary age, like step in and like just even ask for generalized things like access on the playground or like things to do in PE, so I'm not just sitting there. So, and there was a lot of kickback, and certain staff members were just like, we don't even want to deal with that because that's, she's just kind of not the norm. And there was a lot of, I mean, it's really weird to think about how even in that day and age it was still kind of like that. Like as a weird thing to think of it as, and I was kind of telling someone else this story the other day too, it's almost like, because my case of cerebral palsy, I also refer to it as carefree perfection, from a best friend that passed away. He named it that, and I've just always adapted to that because I was just like, oh my goodness, that's such a...
When did he pass?
About 12 years ago.
Oh,
so, yeah.
my condolences.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But he just had a very interesting way of looking at it. He was just like, you're who you are, and you're just going to go along with the world. But he had that title for it, and it was never like, he was a very special soul. He like never once was like, what's wrong with you or whatever. Like he waited till I like approached it, because I was like, it's weird you're not asking, and he's like, well, that's just not what that's about. Like, you're just who you are. And he let me like share about it, like tell the whole story thing, and he was like, thanks for letting me know, like, but you're still you and life goes on. But with that though, like, since back to what I was saying, I kind of roundabout talk, so I get on tangents.
Oh, it's okay.
But like, it's, my cerebral palsy is fairly minor to where I am able to be ambulatory. I just lack the ability of independent balance. So that's where the unicorn comes in.
Oh, so you can walk.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's because how I know you, I'm always in the wheelchair to come and go, so I don't fall in public, because I can't balance per se on like open sidewalk.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'd have to have something to balance on, whether it's a rail or someone's arm or like.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, yeah.
I know now.
So, yeah, that in recent years I've thought a lot about that, because since I am so publicly known, and to be able to be as independent as the unicorn has given me, it's also like people don't assume you can, because that's only how they know you visually. It's like, oh, well, we see you out in the wheelchair, so we just assume that. But a lot of it is just for safety and like not wanting to fall. But once they know me, they know like in my personal life and everything else, like everything's set up. I'm just used to being able to be able to move around in the way that I know how. But what I was leading to with that is like, I've always felt that this is like I'm the gray versus the black and the white, because I'm not like fully in the strict like full on disability community, but I'm not fully able-bodied either. So like growing up, it was just like, well, where do I belong? Because I can still do things as much as I'm able to, and the most able-bodied that I'm able to, but I'm not able-bodied to where I'm not disabled. So it's just like wherever you felt you could mix with at the time, I guess.
Yeah. So as a child, did that bother you mentally, as far as like not being able-bodied like other kids?
Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times, and I think we've talked about this before, what happens a lot of times is when people see you and you have a physical disability, they automatically assume, or at least in my experience, I should say, that you have a cognitive delay as well. So I get often a lot of the slow and loud talk, like, hi, how are you? And you're just like, I'm fine, how are you? So I think a lot of like everything that I've been about too is trying to break that barrier of, again, like knowing the individual for who they are. Like if someone came up on the street or like right now and just saw us interacting, I would expect them to, I mean, just out of decency, interact just as much as they see us interacting back and forth, like with conversation, and not just immediately assume that I can't communicate.
People
like,
so weird
when they come into the circle. Yeah, it's really weird. And then another thing, this is just something as a side note that I always get annoyed by, and everybody hears about it sometimes.
Okay,
but
kick it to me.
It's just like the how people just assume like if you're in a chair, they have the right, kind of as if you're pregnant, to just touch you and like pat on you, and you're just like, yeah,
really,
it's weird. Yeah, people will like pat me on the back all the time, and even just
sad.
It is sad because it's interesting. Like again, with the younger generations, how it just, at least in my experience with younger people, how they're able to have more open eyes to that, probably because everything's just so open in the world. But a lot of times that there still is that in the world with all that. Like, I mean, maybe it's just the older generations like switching over to being more open.
Mm-hmm.
But on a daily basis, I just don't even know what I'm going to like encounter with that. And it's almost like, without being like completely rude to everybody that does that, you sort of just have to like take that in and accept it, and just kind of be like, well, if they haven't had a chance to learn it yet, maybe this is like the opportunity to. So you either can take that time if they're willing to just like talk about it, or sometimes you just have to take that in and let them kind of, I guess in a way, do that, because it's just like you don't have the time to be like, wait a minute. And you don't always want to come off as like off guard too, but it's just interesting how people assume that they can just like interact with you like that.
Wow. Do you ever say anything when people do that to you?
Mm-hmm.
Like, get your damn hands on me.
Yeah. Yes, you definitely know. I mean, in the short time we've known each other, I don't hold like anything back.
No, you don't. You really don't. I agree with that.
Yeah, sorry about that. Like,
no, it's all good.
Thanks,
I don't need
to. Thanks, Dad, for all the loudmouthness, I guess. But yeah, and I mean, I appreciate that about myself too, because I also feel like, again, if that's their one opportunity in a good way, if you have the time and just, you know, like if it's not really on the fly to where you're like, oh, that just happened, I don't have the time to like really get into it. But if you have the time, it's like, if this is the one time they're gonna like take that experience and learn from it, like you got to use that as like I'm the conduit to be the information giver of that. Yeah. So, I mean, that even happened to me last night. I was out and about, and there were just kids like just staring, and it was interesting. Sorry, I have itchy. Ugh, sorry, that's on camera.
No, I do the same thing.
Yeah. Allergies, but like the kids were just kind of like staring and just like wanting to say something but didn't. And it was, again, I was in line, so I didn't really have the time to do that. But then it, like leaving there, it was interesting because just seeing how the parents either chose to interact or not about it. Because sometimes in those situations, like at the store, when you get approached and you do have the time, but you're like not wanting to hold up the aisle either, you don't want to say something incorrectly because I don't know what their beliefs are. Like, so you don't want to say something that could be like more questioning for them later. But then it's also like at the same note of that, it's like, if that becomes what happens later, that's not on me because I don't even know that exists. And so I just, you know, like I try not to make it like a spiritual thing or not, depending on like if people want to have that whole conversation about God in a grocery store aisle or not. But I just try to, you know, and I often get like asked if I can be prayed for, and it's like, I mean, in this day and age, prayer, like, or however you want to phrase that, like just good vibes for people is like much needed. So it's like, if you feel you want to, like, that's all, like, please do, like, send up as much to the universe as you feel like will help somebody, because you don't know where that does or doesn't. So I always say yes, like I don't shut that down, but then it does get awkward if they kind of want to like pray for you right there, because then again it's holding it up. So you just have to find like the time and space to be able to really have in-depth conversations, and that's kind of why I like this, because you get to ramble forever about it
Exactly.
and ask about it and everything.
So you was never like, were you any kind of religion like growing up? Were you like a Christian or Muslim or something?
No. I
Not Muslim, but Mormon.
no. I call myself like the like liberal hippie Christian, because I do believe that there's like a God out there. I even say we don't know that it wasn't Jerry Garcia or somebody. Like I feel like God is in everybody. So we weren't raised with like a strict religion, but we did know like the morals of that growing up. We just didn't like go to church necessarily.
You ever been to church?
Yes, I've been.
Did you like it?
I do.
Okay.
I'm open to all, again, because we don't know where it's coming from. Like the universe is all one. Like God is in a tree, God is in your cat, God is in your dog. They even say that's why, or dog is God spelled backwards, you know? So like everything is everywhere. And so I'm a spiritual Christian believer, I guess, in a way. So we didn't have like a set religion in our household, no.
So you said you was a spiritual hippie.
Mm-hmm.
So you smoke weed too, huh?
No.
Okay. All right.
And that's only because my parents
are listening. Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's all good. No.
Just kidding. Jokes.
It's all good.
Yeah. That's pretty cool though, because I feel like when it comes to religion, I mean, to me it doesn't matter. It's like whatever you believe in to help you be a better person, go for it.
That's exactly what
Because I think people should try to focus on being a good human, if anything. Yeah. Well, you and I kind of talked about that before, but yeah, just be a good human. Just do the right thing instead of ripping people off or stealing from people or misleading people. You know, things like that.
Yeah, blowing people off. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, no, and I mean, so I've always just called myself, I'm a crippy, I'm a hippie, but I also say, like, I'm very, I mean, as un-PC as it sounds, like, I don't take offense to most things about disability. Like, I call myself the cryptastic princess, for goodness sakes. Like, so I'm a crippy and a cryptastic, and it's more of like, if I embrace it, it's kind of one of those things, like, it can't be used against you, you know. And I try to have like the best mindset I can about it, because again, I won't know what my full mission was for in this life until my time is up. So I just know that from day to day, and that we've talked about this before, just like whatever you're able to do in that day is what you were meant to do. Like if you don't make it to the post office or something, or you get held up by a train or whatever, for whatever reason, like that 5 minutes in the universe is happening how it's meant to. Like, because maybe you're supposed to encounter somebody else that you wouldn't have if you were on time or running late, or just everywhere you end up is where you're supposed to either learn something from or give something to. So, and as you know, I help out at a local nursing home, and often those folks there, they're like, oh, if like there's more younger generations there currently, and they're just like, well, if you can do it, like maybe we can too. Or they're adjusting to their new life because they've come into that through like illness or rehabilitation, and they could possibly be struggling, but they really prefer me. Sometimes they're like, oh, Mandy's here, and they like just love having in-depth conversation and just hearing about like how I see life and just live life, and they love that I live independently. And for the folks that are on rehab, they're like, they've even told me, like, again, like they use me as a goal, or like the way I live life as a goal, like where they want to end up again. So
with you having cerebral palsy, and you see these people that you volunteer for, does it make you feel grateful that you're not in their position? Or do they seem like they're worse than you?
It really depends, because it's all ages. Like some folks are like that facility has a rehabilitation side, and then also like the other side where folks are gonna just like live as they age. So I mean, more often than not, I get feedback from them of like like it helps them to like reframe their mindset of like, again, I should be like realizing that I've grown up with it and they have like come into theirs either through aging or circumstance. And they're like, if you've lived with it your entire life, like these past few years, months, weeks, whatever, like shouldn't be anything for me. And then, so I think it, I mean, to answer your question, like, I guess it does make me like keep in the mindset of like that I want to stay strong and independent within myself, because every day I leave there, they're like, no, don't end up here. And I'm like, well, yeah, just as a joke, because then they'll also say, can't you just run a room so you're always here with us, because they like don't want me to leave.
Oh, they love you like crazy.
Yeah,
okay.
So it's just like, stay here, but then don't end up here like so you're permanently not able, because I think they like to just hear about like the voyages of Mandy all day, because I'll just come and be like, I did this. Like they just like to just talk it up all day.
Yeah.
Very obviously similar to me. So we just kind of conversate and play games and just have companionship for that. But then, so like, so I do always have that on my mindset of like, for myself again, like I want to just maintain my independence as much as possible. But then also knowing that like how I am like makes a difference, because I think just being relatable as a wheelchair user, like even my supervisor has said like, you have a following, like they just flock to you. Like I've been there about 6.5 months almost, going there, and just how like immediately once I was there, they were like, some people thought I was like, because there is like, as I was saying, younger generations there, so some people actually thought I was a resident there, and they were like, but you're so young. And I was like, but I don't live here. So we had to have like that whole discussion about that, because then they'd be like, why does she get to leave and we don't? But I think that they just liked that vibe, and just that I like kind of knew what they were going through on a different, even though their circumstances are different, but just in that relatability. So
right,
they just liked having that as like someone to vent to, because they would even say, and they still do sometimes, like, well, you know how it is. And it's like, yeah, like take your time, it's all good. Like life is in so much of a rush as it is. Like I think that's like one of the, it's a side note thing, but it's one of the biggest things, is like if people are in that much of a rush that they get like frustrated by your existence, that's not on you. So, and I had to grow up and overcome that a lot. Like I never wanted to be perceived as a hassle or an obligation or anything. And I still have to like constantly tell myself that now at the age that I am now too. It's like, it's not like you can't take in what other people are projecting of just not knowing.
Right. It's hard though, because we humans, right? We feel, but yeah, you're doing a really good job at that.
Thank you.
Seriously, yeah. I mean, I was gonna ask, you ever done like any kind of like therapy before, like as far as like mental health type things?
Yeah, I've been in therapy off and on for many years. As you know, sometimes you have to find a therapist that fits you, or for the time being, for the time being, it's for a certain issue, and that issue kind of resolves itself. But like a couple of years down the road, you might feel you need it again. And therapy is a really beneficial thing too for me, because I feel like, as I was telling you earlier, I'm the one that like often, talks a lot. So it's like a, what, like I can't think of the word, but like a impartial, there you go. It's an impartial person you can just kind of unload on, and not have to put it on family and friends so much. Like just once a week, you're like, I'll just unload on this poor soul, and they can help me work it through it. And therapists too, like they can, because even within social work, I've had training in like therapy techniques and stuff. I haven't really gotten to put that into practice, and I don't know that I initially wanted to do that, like for individuals with disabilities, and be a therapist for that, but it really transformed into wanting to do the policy, because I was like, a lot of the issues that mental health, in my experience, that individuals with disabilities struggle with are triggered from the things from the outside in life that are like just weighing on them. And often that leads again all the way back to the policy of how the world like wants and expects us to live. So yeah, it's just, so that's where I led to the policy part of it. But But yeah, it's interesting because even with your therapist, they like through their own experience, they can help you to you just kind of conversate with them and just kind of let it all out, and they help you. So I really appreciate that about the idea of therapy because it just kind of lets you not have to hold that all on your shoulders all the time.
So what are you saying? You actually an advocate for mental health? Well,
Yes.
for therapy for people.
Yes.
All right, you heard it, guys. She said she's an advocate for therapy.
Please just access anything you need within those avenues and services. And I mean, the therapists that I found in Fort Collins have all been like phenomenal, and people that are usually in that field are really passionate because of their own experience.
Oh, yeah.
And it's that whole same thing again. It's like if they've been through it, like nobody wants anyone else to ever have to experience it in the harshities that they've experienced it. So I think that comes in the heart of wanting to make a difference. Everyone has that little, like, I hate the phrase inner child because I say like little Mandy's a lot,
Oh, yeah.
you know, but we all have, because we're all that same person that we were when we were 3, when we were 5, when we were 7, when just any age. And it's like you think of all those generations of yourself and how far you've come, and you're like, that's who I did it for, even reflecting on yourself. It's like in that moment when I was 12 and this happened or whatnot, like this is what led to this here.
Wow.
So you carry all the generations of your own self all the time with you. And
that's profound.
That was really philosophical.
Sorry. It was. No, I agree. I mean, I think the same thing. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do. What I'm doing right now for little Pat. You know, yeah. Make him proud. Yes, indeed.
So from now on, I'll be like, "So how's little Pat doing?" Like, I'm good.
So he's taking a nap right now. Yeah, time out.
Exactly. As everyone should too. Rest is a huge thing too. Like that's a big thing. Is like just knowing when you need to take that time for yourself. We live in a world where it's like just go. And even in my circumstance, people are like, "Oh, well, you don't really go per se," and it's like, but life itself, yes, I constantly am like. No, I'm not running a marathon. I've never been able to do that. I didn't even walk independently until I was 7 years old. But like just living in our bodies is a lot. Like I have a friend that does Uber right now as a job, and they're like, and you know too, it's like that those kind of jobs are extremely wearing on the body. So you don't have to be like doing circus acts and fully mobile to just be exhausting and or be exhausted. And just everything we take in from the world is exhausting. So just knowing to take that time and just like I said earlier, I gratitude journal every week per se. And so sometimes daily, but it's become more of a week thing. And just to look back, like I hope at the end of the year of being like, that week I took that from it. Like, so when you reread it back, and that was the whole purpose of it, like you don't write negativity down. So it's like that week I did that, or that was profound enough for me to have felt like that was the big thing.
Wow. So do you ever do like meditation? Or not really?
As you know, I'm too...
Yeah, you are.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I'm too... I call it like the unicorn sparkle. Like I explode too much on things. Like I'm too spastic for that.
Yeah. Don't judge me here at all.
No, muscle wise, everything. Like when I had my dog, I would always use him as an example. Like I would try to do it so in tunely, and then he would run by, and I'd be like, it'd be my squirrel moment. Like I can't focus. Like shut that out now.
Yeah.
And I just process so much of my thought in my head too. Like I talk to myself all day and write everything down and all of that it's just constantly. But I have done like biofeedback with breathing, and that helps a lot. So and that's like the first steps of getting me to be able to meditate without squirrel moments, but
still struggle.
Yeah, it's just unicorn sparkle over here.
So do you go on YouTube for that or what?
I saw a lady that her office is locally on Drake. She does have YouTube videos.
Okay.
Yeah, and I saw her like last summer, and it was really crazy how they can like just read your body through those. Like because they'll test like your sodium intake. Like it's kind of like a lie detector test in a way. Like they hook you up to all these things, and they can fully read your body, and they can tell like when you're anxious through like breathing and sweating, and they're like, what made you anxious right there? And then you're like, because they'll ask you certain stuff, and it's not necessarily like therapy questions, but they'll just ask you like just things to trigger it, to see like how your levels go up or down. And then she would notate that, and then with however she figures that, it's like, this is the breathing technique that's best for you in those moments of like when you flare up. And we have found, or we did find through that what works best for me is like the whole guided meditation thing, like somebody telling me, okay, like breathe in, like, because I can't do that naturally myself. But if someone was just like, okay, calm your leg, like, as you know now, because I'm probably like spazzing out kicking you, sorry about that.
It's okay.
But
I'm
like,
used to it.
I don't, yeah, you kind of,
life kicks me all the time. So.
But like, it would be like, calm your legs, and then they'll slowly go down too. Like they kind of are right now. Like if I just like hear that somehow, like, but I do know, and I've always been an auditory learner, so I think through how my motor skills are, I just channel sound better. Maybe I don't know.
So do you do audiobooks?
I love audiobooks because I can like read faster. I love to read. I haven't read recently. I do want to get like back into that, but audiobooks are awesome because you can just do it wherever you are.
Exactly.
And listen to your podcast everywhere you are too.
Hey, so, I appreciate that. Yes.
Yeah, totally. I always tell you what episode I'm on, and I'm like, holy crap.
I know.
So, yeah.
It get kind of crazy sometimes.
Yes, it does.
Some episodes, true stories though, facts. Yep.
Yes.
But I mean, like I said, you doing some incredible things, and I just want to see you flourish for real.
Thank you.
I want to see you do some real big things with this, because I think you can do it. You got the compassion for it. You got the personality for it. You got the knowledge. You can do it.
Mm-hmm. I just have to find
the time.
Well, I think.
Well, not the time, or just the right people.
That, and like the way to really do it, because obviously, as we've always conversated, and just even now, it's like I have all these ideas, but it's just like how you go about to find the ways to do that. Like it's kind of like those commercials you see where they invented something and you're like, I thought of that 6 years ago. Yes. And you're like, how do you even just like find the appropriate like avenues? And I feel like once those doors are open, like even just locally with what I've done, like with the reputation, I don't know if reputation is the right word for that, but just the presence I have, like that started at some point, you know, and I just kept going knowing that was what was going to make a difference, at least locally. So
yeah,
if I can find the ways that's beyond Fort Collins to then become Loveland, Denver, and then past Colorado, and just all these things, that's just what has to happen. I just have mainly been focusing since graduating on like my local stuff, because that's just where it's been, but that still makes a difference.
It does.
Like that's a huge thing. So, and there's so many people that again I hear every day, even just from neighbors in my neighborhood building, whatever, that are just like, they'll come to me and be like, can you help me find the ways to do this, or like, or just even to like, what do I do? And so even like knowing that I can be an outlet as a resource in that sense, like is where it's at for that person, because they're like, go to Mandy, she knows. Or even like last summer, I would say, I was like riding on the bus, just going wherever I was going, and or wait, no, that was the year before. This is a whole story, but I'll tell it, I guess, because it's fun.
Oh yeah.
But like it was just like I didn't even realize, but like at the time I had ran into this person, or I didn't even realize, like my unicorn bolt ran into her, I should say, because I ran into her a year later.
Damn.
I know.
You like literally ran into her?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh, I see.
But I do that sometimes. No, but figuratively. But
okay.
I mean, I at least hope I didn't. Maybe I did. I don't know. But she came, like, so it was a whole like year's process, I guess. And she came up to me when I was with acquaintances, and she was like, because I ran into you like a year ago on the bus and saw what you have to deal with just to like function on the bus, getting on and off. Like, I don't even remember if I said anything to her, but people just automatically like will just start talking to me, and maybe because it's the similar to the nursing home, like they're just like, if I'm struggling, maybe just because you appear that you struggle, like you might know about it. I don't know, but because as she was telling her story, I vaguely remember, like until it unfolded, and then I did remember. But she was saying, because I saw all that, that day I got sober and turned my life around, and she like gave me flowers, like in that moment. I think they were already given to her, but she asked permission from wherever because I think she was even on a date, and she was like, "Do you mind if I like give these flowers?"
Damn. Okay.
And I was just like, "Oh my goodness, really?" Like it was just like, because when she was telling that, I was like, "That was like last summer, and now it's this summer," which was now last summer. So yeah, it was like 2 summers ago or something. And I was just like, "What?" Like, so you don't? It's the whole like drop in the bucket thing. Like you don't even know, like how what your presence, existence, or what you're doing is impacting somebody else. So,
well, you do have a good presence, a good energy about yourself.
thank you.
Yeah, it's gravitating. So that's why people speak to you all the time.
Yeah.
Cause like me, you and I spoke like the very first time when I met you, and like you just been we had a good conversation, and you just been real cool since day one.
Thank you. You're
Yeah,
probably
absolutely.
like, this chick never shuts up.
No, that makes good content. Okay.
No, I know, and I've like, I don't know, and I've just always like been that same way too, just with disability or non-disability. It's just like I just love people. Like I'm really great with elder folks. I'm really great with children. I'm really great with the in-betweens or just anybody. But I just like, I don't know, like people really do flock to me. My dad used to joke and say it's because they know you can't get away, wheelchair or not, like, but especially when you're not, you can't run. So like people would just be like, sit right here, and she's gonna have to listen to it because she can't get up, and we have to help her get up to run, so we know that she's here while she's here. But
I shouldn't even laugh, but
no, it's
okay.
it's totally fine.
Okay.
But it's just, like, so I've just always been like, I just want to know other people's stories too, because I know that mine makes it more curious for people to ask. But that's how humans are going to be able to grow to make this world like actually have the change it needs.
And more unified.
Yes. Is like getting to know people, because people are so much like, I hate to say it, but we've talked about this before, like out for themselves. And it's like, but in order for progression, like we need to work again, yes, unified, like together. Like we can't leave people in the dirt. And again, with whatever that person is like coming into your world for, it's for what you're going to learn from them or be able to teach.
Absolutely.
So, and that's where the link comes from, because you can be like, I found this resource here, and obviously that's where that person like got sober somehow or something. But I was like, in that moment I was like, wow, because it wasn't someone that had a disability. And I hear a lot more things, or like more commonly from that community, because that's the one that I like, because I live that, so I am immersed in that the most. But I just never knew like someone able-bodied, in quotes, as you see, like would take that same from someone like me. Because again, the world is just kind of like that is going to be something that I feel like is always battled, because there are still always going to be people that through, no matter what you do, I could do cartwheels with the wheelchair and out, and they would still think lesser because I have this diagnosis.
Yeah.
So
does it bother you sometimes knowing that, or not really? Because you're older now, that you surpass all that.
I think as I've gotten older, like I kind of mentioned earlier, like it still does to a certain degree, but not to the point where it's like, ugh, because you just know that as you've gotten to mature, it's like you just sort of accept in some ways, like if they're not willing to be open about it, like sometimes you are going to just hit walls with people, and you kind of just have to let it be. Like, sadly, I have come across that where I'm just like, this is how this person is. And it's come from like years and months of, with those situations and specific people, of like hitting against figurative walls of just being like, we shouldn't have to have this discussion again. Like I was saying earlier too, like as much as my reputation precedes me, like you don't ever want it to be because where it's like, oh, here she comes again, because then also like when it's the here she comes again in the negative light, like, you know that you've rocked the boat to make someone uncomfortable, and then they're probably already shut down about it. And so there's more of that where it's just like, it gets exhausting where you're just like in your own time and in your own head. If you really just think about it, like, why is this still something, like, as a world that we even have to deal with all that's inclusive and just everything with difference of any kind? It's like, you know, orientations, gender, race, all that, like, none of that, I mean, should still even exist in the way that it does. And that's what's sad.
Yeah.
Is that there's just dividing lines no matter what you do.
Right.
So I've just had to find, like, just anything in life where I'm, as you probably as well, like, where you're willing to put your efforts anymore. Because it's just like, everyone has the time that we're given here. And, like, when you can know, like, this is where I see my time best valued by someone else or myself, this is where I need to put it towards. Now, if this is always going to be like dead end here, and I just have tried and tried and tried, that's again where sometimes you have to accept the no. Where, like, where I was raised, it was like, if it's no, we're just going to find another way around it. But when you've done all the other ways around it so many times, and you're like, that's where the no is, because you've just done what you can do. So.
Right. Yeah, it's also all resources at that point, and it's time to move forward.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's real. I mean, like I said, you speaking very profound tonight. But this afternoon. Yeah. You preaching today, amen.
Yay!
Yeah, so I was gonna ask about something else. So you said you struggle with that sometimes, as far as like do you ever have like depression sometimes, even now, or not as much?
I would say I don't have like depression as depression is diagnosed. I have depressing situations.
Okay.
Where it's just like,
because we all have depression.
Yes, in our generations, definitely. Like, it's just kind of part of life, I feel like, in the world now. But I think where I find the most like depressing stuff is kind of when I get like stuck within myself. This is gonna get really profound, so sorry. But
are you good?
Like, sorry, but not sorry, because I was talking to someone the other day too, and I was like, when you let it out, it's probably like the moment it needs to be let out. But like, when I really get like stuck within myself, it's more of a like where I do realize I'm different. Like, of course I know I am, but where those walls really are up because of how the world is, where it's just like, but I'm still Mandy outside of that. So it's just like where it becomes how I can move past that moment to be like, no, I'm what I did today, and who I am is the whole good enough thing, you know? And that's, I get like really sentimental about that because I never want to say I'm not, but just like when you do come across that where it still exists, you're like, you know, even in like relationships, you never want someone to be like, oh, well, you know, because I've had that happen, and this is really like kind of personal, but it's fine. I'm very open about it. Like, where people have literally said like, oh, it's because of your CP, and it's like, well, gee, thanks. So like this whole time it's not been like as a hang up for them, you know, like where they haven't been able to see past that yet. And you're just like, well, how is, you know, you should see the person, not the shell. So
right. I was gonna ask about that, but you had beat me to it.
Oh, hi.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you good.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's just interesting too, how that's even like an avenue, because it's, or, you know, like how that comes up, or it's just like, that shouldn't, I mean, even be a thing. I don't know. Because we all have hearts, we all have souls. We're all just traveling in the vessel that we were given to travel in, you know?
Yeah. And it's not your fault the way you are.
No.
At all.
No.
And the thing about it is like all of us, eventually, if we live long enough, we're going to be in a position where we need assistance, probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you and I are
we talking about that. Yeah, we did.
A lot. Yeah, it's like everybody ends up, whether it's through aging or circumstance, where it's like you're going to need help at some point, and would you want someone to treat you or just, you know, differently, or just whatever because something happened to you? Like, you know, and I get on philosophical like trips in my head sometimes where it's like this is gonna sound weird, but it's like I sometimes when it's really like dark, I should say, like you just kind of wonder like if I could go back and just see how I was born and like switch that up so I could be born able-bodied for my family's sake, like. But then there's a lot about my life where I wouldn't change any of it for the world because I also feel like
It made you who you are.
yes, and it's given me the heart to have that for other people. And just even the people that I've like met, and it's like if you've ever seen like the butterfly effect in those kind of movies, it's like by changing one thing, everything does. And people are like, oh, I'd always want to keep everyone I know. And it's like, but you, in some ways, you only met those people because of the path that you're on.
Yeah, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
But tragic, yeah.
Yeah, and so like I just can't imagine like the people that have profoundly changed my life just by being like, I'd want to change that for the sake of other people, because I do know like what growing up was like for me, and just just even some stuff on that note where it was like I know that by being able-bodied this would have been easier on my family, and just like that's a whole other thing. And like, but they love me for who I am too. And it's just so weird to like, because I say my twin sister is like the able-bodied version of me, like she's my other half. And so like a lot of that, like growing up especially, was like seeing what it could have been like through her.
Wow.
And just, but then we're completely opposites too. And but being a twin as well, it was like my parents really had to like even do that too, not abled versus not abled, but just like separating us as twins. It was like they're not into all the same things, like we never dress alike, none of that. They were like they are going to be individual people. So we weren't even put in the same classes together growing up because my parents were like, we want them to learn to be separate people and not known as the twins. Because also, especially in younger ages, they would always try to talk to me through my sister, and my sister would be like, I don't know, ask her yourself. Like, she's right here or something. Or her name is Nissa. Hey, Nissa, if you're listening ever.
Hey, Nissa.
Yeah, hey.
Hello.
Yeah. She's actually right there. Like, see that baby picture right above the orange sticker on the bridge? That's us. And then the one, like, catty corner with our tongue stuck out, that's us. And the one
I see that.
Yes, they're old, but that's us.
Yeah. Prehistoric.
Yeah. Photos, yeah. So, like, but they would, but why I mentioned her name, because our parents brought this up before too, is like they would introduce us as Nissa Amanda, like, or Nissa and Amanda, but it would get blurred together where they thought I was named Miss Amanda.
Okay.
And I was like, I could be Miss Amanda, that's cool, but it's like, no, but it's Nissa and just even that, but like they would again automatically assume like she was meant to be my caretaker. And growing up, that was always a thing too. Like it was always assumed with friends that they were like my CNAs or something, where I don't even have that, where some folks do. And it's just like, no, we're out being social as human beings. Like I don't, or so it's just the assumptions of that too. And they just wanted us to have like anonymity is the word, or is that? I don't know if that's correct, but just like
I think so.
Yeah, the separateness of being twins,
Wow. So, did you and your sister get along pretty well as kids?
Mm-hmm.
You guys have any kind of conflicts?
That's a whole thing.
Okay, never mind.
No, it's fine. Like, I have an older sister. She lives in Asia, and I have a younger brother biologically, and then we're in the middle. We have family friends that have grown up as siblings as us, so I often refer to them as my siblings because they're just family friends that we've known their entire lives. And so I had a younger brother. He passed away 2 years ago.
My condolences.
Thank you. And a younger sister through them as well. So I'm biologically one of 4, but I'm one of 6 when we include them. And but I mean, there was I'm just going to share all this if you really don't mind. But there was a lot like growing up where my older sister was an only child for 2.5 years before we were born. And so not only did mom and dad bring home 2 babies, but one was like needing of more support, so she kind of developed kind of a sibling rivalry type thing toward me, and so we're not as close. But
even now,
no, like
damn.
she's in Asia and she just does her own thing. She communicates like to my parents and they update me, but she doesn't associate herself with me. I remember one time in high school, because I don't have independent balance, like I had to suddenly stop because there was like people behind me. We were in Old Town Square, and I like ended up like falling against her, and she actually threw me down on the ground and was like, "Do not associate yourself with me again," because there were people we knew from the high school in the area. I don't know that my parents ever knew that, but now they do. Sorry, but I mean, that's just how it was with her. But like my twin sister and I, like obviously had the twin thing growing up, because when I would have surgery, she would get sick at school just knowing that something was off with me when I was in recovery. So there was like a lot more of like the twin bond when we were younger with that, like because they'd always know that they'd be getting a call from the school as soon as I was out of recovery. It was like really weirdly tied to that, because she would just, I mean, all my siblings regardless were protective of me, and my younger brother especially is like, he sort of like took on through how he knew my life was with other things with like per se my older one. And I mean, so that's what I was meaning, like when I reflect back on that, where it's like, if I was like, I wish I was more able-bodied for them, to where it wasn't like such an issue of my existence sometimes. But I do know that they love me dearly, like in the way that they know how. So like families are family, and you just kind of, I don't know.
So with your older sibling, would you ever consider, like, I guess, like reconcile with her one day if she wanted to reconcile with you or even get close to you?
I mean, I don't know how that would be, because she lives in Asia right now, and
Facebook.
Yeah, true.
FaceTime.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a huge step, but maybe someday. I mean,
yeah. Oh,
it's hard countries away.
Right.
There's a lot with like
the time zone.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. I mean, maybe someday, but
I hope so. I mean, that's pretty sad. I mean, maybe one day she will realize what she did was wrong, and maybe want to apologize or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Would you be receptive towards her apology if she was to give it to you?
I think at this point in my life, as adults, I would be, because through my own therapy work, like I know like how the family dynamics have possibly unfolded with that. Like, it's not anyone's fault, but it's everyone's fault at the same time. So we've all kind of played into the roles that happen with all that. And just, discussion, if as adults we can have that, I'd be down to see, I just never know. I think it would have to happen, like, if she was ever like able to like come back here, and it would probably be, I don't know, after my parents pass. I don't know. She kind of just lives in her, she likes to have her life like as her own, so I don't know how that will ever end up, but yeah.
Wow. Well,
that's all. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, we'll just be hopeful, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah. So with your twin sister, are you older than her, or is she older than you?
She's older than me by 3 minutes.
3 minutes, okay.
Yeah. And as a kid, I had to get corrected a lot with this, because I would say, like, I'm like this because you stole my oxygen. Because when she was born, because she was born first, there was little to no oxygen left in the womb for that 3 minutes, and that's what is assumed to have caused So like when I would get angry and upset, or just like kind of to get at her sometimes, and that's where my dad.
That's messed up.
I know, but as a kid, you're just like, what the? And my parents, specifically my dad, was like, you need to stop telling people that, or like, really, because you don't like, and but kids are kids, and that was like my one thing. But she knows I love her. Like, she really is like my, like, she's the able-bodied version of me. She's me. If I could ever be her, I always say so.
So if you was able-bodied, is there anything that you would do, like as far as like gymnastics or something, or? Running.
I say like when I pass and in the next life to cremate me wearing one's, well, I don't know how this would be weird, but like one stiletto heel because I can't wear heels and balance on them, and then like one running shoe because I just cannot wait to run like into eternity. And I always say like I'll run alongside the rainbows because that's what I've waited 30 plus years and into however long I live to do. Like, cause, and people are like, oh, you'd get so tired of that. But it's like when you've never done that, that's like what you're just like, I can't wait to do that.
Yeah.
So there has to be an afterlife in that sense of the spiritual, where I was kind of getting at earlier, like with the whole purpose of that. I'm like, when people ask me about those things, I'm like, there has to be, because it, you know, there, if there's nothing after this, then really what was the point to not have equality of like able-bodied life? Because then everybody would. Like you'd have to have something you learn from to know why you were, or have it like the result like play out for you at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, right. I just cannot wait to run. I can't even tell you. Or even just having independent balance and stepping off curbs. Like I always use the stepping off curbs example for people, because when I go to do that, family, friends, and everybody know, I always say, can I borrow an arm? And they'll often meet me like at the curb with an arm out, like because they already know it's going to be asked for. And so like just to be able to do that and not have that worry of like falling on your face literally is like so phenomenal to me. And that's like the smallest thing for most people. They're like, I don't even think about that. And it's like, but that's, you know, like a lot of things that I often bring up, people are like, I don't even think about that, like with access or anything. Like it's just funny when they'll advertise like handicap access somewhere and you're like, where is it? Does it just mean that we're welcome here because the sign is somewhere? But like there's nothing accessible about the entire situation. And people will be like, I never even thought of that, once you approach them about it. And then they're like, oh, we'll get to that, or like let somebody know. And then you often go into that place again and it hasn't been until you're there again and they're like, I know. But it's like, it should only take one time, because again, at some point someone else is going to need that. And it should just be like what is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I don't even know how like half of almost everywhere is just not. Because even for business sake, it's like if it's not accessible, like think about like just what you're not like allowing in. Someone could drop like $200 in your business, but they can't even get to it. So
yeah, that's very true.
You just missed out on that.
Yeah.
And they just kind of go like, like, you know, but some of that within like the everyday retail rules in that moment, they're like, they really can only do what they say they plan on doing. But then when you really don't see change, it's like you don't want things to fall on deaf ears sometimes, and then you realize that they do.
Yeah,
because it's still like that, and you're just like, wait, what? Like even one time at CSU, you want to hear this story?
Yeah, go ahead, kid. Yeah,
like,
spit it.
They had just redone the rec center, so it was like brand new, like the year I graduated or something. And I was like, I should finally check this out. And I had a break between classes, and I had to use the restroom. And they had a button to get into it, but not out.
Oh, interesting.
And that day, for whatever reason, it was like snowy weather or something. And I was just like, because I normally transfer out of the wheelchair and stuff and do that whole thing and then walk back out, get in and go. And I was just like exhausted, and I was like, I'm just going to take it all the way in there. Didn't even think about it because I was like, oh, there's a button. Yeah. And there was nobody there. And I had to call the front desk and ask for help. And they told me, they're like, we have to wait till we have a female employee to do that.
Damn.
And I was just like, because it was all gentlemen, obviously, or male, or however you want to, gentlemen, I guess, working at the time. And I was just hanging out in the bathroom for like 40 minutes. And I was just like, you know, honestly, I was on the phone with them, and I was like, honestly, I'm like, nothing, just come please open the door. Like, nothing's going to go weird about that. Like, I don't even care. But because of everything with that, you know, they don't really, because it's not appropriate or whatever. And I was like,
and the Me Too movement.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, that was like around that time or whatnot, or like the start of it, and just all that awareness about those things. And so they were literally like, we have to wait till, and I'm like, if there was somebody in here with me, I would have just had them open the door because they were just like, "Are you really in there by yourself?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, I just want to hang out on the phone with you for an hour. Sure, let's hang." Like, but if there was,
That's true.
Then someone would have held the door.
Right.
But just the fact that I had to wait for that, I was like, "This is embarrassing," because one, it could have been done just by you barely holding the door open enough for me to get out. No one would have even. But then to think like, if someone isn't as abled as I am or less, like less, I don't know the phrasing for that, but if they could have been stranded for longer and not able to have, I don't know, it just seemed really weird. I was like, there shouldn't be this advertisement of like you can get in but you can't get out.
Right.
And then shortly after that, like obviously before I graduated, I really made sure, because I was like, that's going to be my like senior service project, but they did put it in, so I was like, that's where that's at. But yeah, things like that happen too, where you're often having to be like,
hello,
hanging out, right. like for weird stuff, and you're just like, this shouldn't. But it really doesn't. It's not an awareness piece until you have to. But
yeah, they don't think about that at all.
It's just so weird. I don't know.
Wow, I tell you what though, like knowing you and just meeting people in general, it makes me. Well, I have my own issues too. Mm-hmm. But it makes me grateful when I'm able to, like I said, move around and just do what I can do. Mm-hmm. For sure. I mean, you can move around too, but you know what I mean? Like it's just different. For sure. So I'm just, it's made me more grateful for sure.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm glad that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I meet people too. Like this one lady I met, she had a stroke. Mm-hmm. She's I think like late 50s, but she had it in her 40s because just bad diet, not taking care of herself at all. She had a stroke. She ended up being paralyzed from it. Like she can't even walk.
Yeah.
And she told me she was like, sometimes she just want to just die because she can't even function, because how she was before that, she was able to move and just live normal. But now it's like she's confined in a chair now.
Yeah.
She can't even get up and walk if she wanted to. You can at least walk, which I didn't know that till now.
Yeah.
So, well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll stand up for you later.
Just okay, that's what's up.
But I mean, it's because even in my situation, like I always say, like the minute my voice goes, like I feel like I would be, because that's what's made me. Besides, like the orneriness, obviously, of it too, but like the fact that, like, my voice allows for people to know that somebody is inside this body, like, because there is a spectrum within cerebral palsy where there's, again, I'm just going to keep using this phrasing even though I don't like it, or sometimes I don't even mind it, but there's people that have it that are more able-bodied than me where you wouldn't even know they do, and then there's people that are considered medically more vegetative because they can't sit up or speak or any of that, and have, like,
You're doing very well.
Yeah.
To be honest. And
so just knowing that I at least have my voice that doesn't allow me to shut up is like the one thing where it's like that's the fighting thing, and that's probably just the whole theme of this whole thing. Yeah. Is like, I mean, for good and bad, I'm just thankful for that, because that's what makes the change in it too, is like people are just like, wow, she talks, oh my goodness. And so
you're very intelligent. I could tell you read a lot, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's, I mean, like I said, you're doing extremely well with this stuff.
Thank you.
Because I was being intrigued by cerebral palsy. Because I didn't know many people who had it, but I mean, this is the first time I actually talked to somebody who has it. Well, like on a personal level, at least. So I thought it was very intriguing, to be honest.
Well, like I said, I love like being open about it. Like because. Again, I just keep saying this over and over, but that's where
you learn.
Yeah.
You unity,
exactly.
Understanding.
Exactly.
Yeah, you bridging the gap with people.
So I for lack, like, I guess my soul is willing to be the one that falls on whatever sword I need to make future generations better for the little Mandy's.
Absolutely, and more accepting, for sure.
Yeah.
Because the thing about, like, how you and I talk about, when I meet people, I look at them as normal people. Even if you got whatever disability, it's like you're still a human being. You still got feelings. You still have a soul. You still breathing on this same earth that I'm breathing in as well. Well, the same air that I'm breathing. For sure, we're sharing it. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, you're doing your thing.
Thank
Yeah, I want to really see you do some big shit.
You'll be like, I knew her when. I'll have to autograph something for you. But
Yeah, please do.
I just there's got to be something for reasons why I was the unicorn girl, or my spirit animal for whatever reason is the Morelia corn. I call it. It's a unicorn. Let's see, mermaid, alien, unicorn. Just because I like all those things, but and even this is back to Disney too, just as like a soft note too. Like even within that, the first year I saw the Little Mermaid, like was the year I got the gift to walk. So it was like we both got the one wish we wanted was working legs. And through seeing that, I was like, see, we can get working legs. And so even those associations at a young age was like, you can always get what you dream, wish, and strive for. So.
Yeah. Well, you have a strong mindset.
Thank you.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. Wow.
Thank you.
So I wonder, are they even doing any type of like studies on how to improve cerebral palsy?
There definitely is. Like I follow like CP foundations and research stuff all over on social media.
Okay.
But I mean, at this point, I think it's probably for medical advances, probably because a lot of the studies ask for certain age ranges.
Oh, so you out there?
Yeah,
you can't do that.
Because even I mean, we don't know. It might not just be there, or it might not be there yet. But right now, it's more of like from what I've seen, like just the youth age range, because that's where like the most, like through therapy and stuff like that, is where you see the most change, like throughout development and everything. So they're probably wanting to like implement stuff like as you're growing and changing. So because people have often asked me that too, and they're like, would you do it at like 73? And I'm like, for like a day maybe, but at like 73, kind of who cares, because you're already chill,
Exactly.
or at least you hope so.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah.
And so I mean, but then also for the small things, it's like to be able to like run and jump for an hour. Are you kidding me? I'd be like, woohoo, bye, see you
later. Yeah.
Bye. And like just run around the block for like that whole time. But it's just
the things we take for granted sometimes.
Yeah.
we do.
I mean, but like I was saying earlier too, there's a lot of things even within my situation I possibly or probably or I most definitely do of like it could be worse within cerebral palsy or just life in general.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think as humans we just all do.
But we do.
But I definitely am thankful that I was gifted with the level, or I don't know how they diagnose or define that, but yeah, just the level of it that I do, the carefree perfection.
Yeah, I mean, you went to school, you graduated college, you with social work, you volunteer, you can walk, which, like I said, I just didn't know that, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, are you doing any kind of personal training? Not personal training, but physical therapy?
I am actually with my insurance. I have to wait till that gets renewed, but I definitely want to. Because you can only have certain amounts a year as an adult, which is interesting.
That is crazy.
That's another policy change thing. I'm like, how do you at 18 years old just stop needing it? Because as far as like when you're 18 and under, or possibly like I think it's 26 now and under, because you can still be under like parents. And however, insurance is just our. But like, up. I know. But within that, like you can go like as a kid, I went like 3 times a week before and after school. The therapy that got me walking was known as Voita, from a therapist that came from Germany to do a study at PVH, and my parents were like, sign her up. And she was like, within 6 months, I forget the time frame, but she was like, within 6 months I can get her up and walking. And I think it was like 3 or 2 or something. I have it on VHS tape. I wish I could. Yeah.
You should transfer that to digital to put on YouTube.
I should, or just be able to show you. It's on my Instagram, so I'll send it to you or something.
Okay.
But so my walking independent day, at least on video, was May 6, 1993. So I was 7 years old.
You remember that?
Yeah. That was my Independence Day, and I just aged myself online, but it's fine. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
So it just. I forgot where I was going with that, but it's just.
We're talking about physical therapy.
Oh yeah, crippled brain. Sorry, but So yeah, I basically have to wait till it gets renewed because you have to have a presenting issue. And right now, I really want to work on like my knees because I don't know, just as you age, they've just been a little sore more. So I can use that as like the point to get in, and then once I'm in, I can do whatever I want to within physical therapy because they'll just work on whatever is the existing.
Do you like physical therapy?
I do. It's like the best way I can get like common exercises to work out, but I can do like treadmilling and weightlifting, which I do at like local, like facilities like the senior center and stuff. And I go swimming a lot.
That's a good program.
Yeah. And I think I mentioned that to you the other day. I go swimming a lot and because that's like where you're weightless for anybody, so it's less on your muscles.
When you said that the other day, I thought about it. I say she had to use her legs. I can't imagine you swimming not using your legs. Like,
well, I kind of just like swim like a mermaid almost because it's so weird because I'll show you after, but like when I stand up, my knees lock in to hold me standing up.
Okay.
So that's probably why, because they just like hold everything, and how I like pivot to like lock in so I don't fall. So the knees take a lot of the brunt, as I've noticed of recent. But like I just joke when I swim too, because it's almost like I have the fishtail that I like wanted to get out from, because that's just how it works. But like everything about it, like you just find your ways of doing it, and it's like I've always felt like the most free in the water, because again, like for anybody, you're weightless, and I just like, so it's less on my physical pain of the body, and you can just do so much more freeingly in there. And I've just always been a water baby. Like my siblings and we had a pool at our parents' house growing up, and we would literally go there from sun up to sundown and just like swim, and they would have to come get us out because it was closing. And we called it the neighborhood babysitter, but we swam all day and just had like a lot of fun.
It's a good exercise.
Yeah, and I've just always enjoyed it.
You ever done a hot tub?
Yes.
Hot tubs are nice.
Yes, hot tubs are awesome. And horseback riding I've done as a youth. I did like the adaptive rodeos and all those kind of things.
Yeah, you told me. I had to think when you told me that day. I said horseback. I said, how did? Go ahead.
Adaptive rodeos, they have folks like help you to, because it was mainly for like building like what I would assume like core muscle and balancing while sitting up. And so they would have the two folks holding you on the side so you wouldn't, and then like somebody guiding it. But it was more so we like would learn to like use our bodies, and obviously it just stretched out everything too, because you always felt like either really tight either before or after, because it was a workout to do that. So
right. Wow.
But I enjoyed it. I mean, I did that. I know someone that currently still does it as an adult, but most of the time it's for youth. But I did that like twice a week, and I've had, so I did like physical therapy itself like 3 times a week, the horseback riding like twice a week, and then I had like what they call special needs swim like once a week on Sundays, where you'd be paired with a student from CSU in the OT or physical therapy department.
Wow.
And they like, we were kind of like, we were buddied up like a big sister, little sister kind of thing with somebody for a semester, and would just go swimming with them. And so that also like allowed for me to keep swimming in the winter too. And
wow. That's pretty cool.
That was always fun. Yeah.
Wow. Huh. So when you do get into physical therapy again, like what is your goal with that? Just to like regain more strength in your legs or what?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Just because as much as I love the unicorn, because it does give me the independence that I need to be out safely in the public more.
Absolutely.
Like it does have that to where when you're when you're using it, you can't just like, because I've told you before, maybe I haven't, I don't know, but like it's street legal, so it has turn signals and all the jazz and all that. But I say like I can't actually park it like a car and get out of it where I am. So like when I go to where I go every day, like you're still in it, so you're just constantly just like sitting, which I don't like. And then that's also the association too, like, oh yeah, you get up at like, even at the nursing home, like even just yesterday, I think I told some people, I was like, I could do that. They were like shocked I like went to the restroom without it or something.
Wow.
Like, yeah, because they just the association, like Mandy in the wheelchair, or Mandy, the unicorn girl that comes in, because I let the residents call me that too. it's just when you use it to get where you need to be going, you can't get out of it and just leave it there.
Yeah, that's true.
So then you're just like, I'm in it till I get home again. And so I do want to, and I do want to just like have an ability to like have an outlet to like restore things, because I can't continually walk from A to B like able-bodied folks would, like just constantly, because even walking I would still have to take a break like probably midway through, just because that's how it's always been. Like even going to the mall as a kid, I'd have to like walk halfway, sit at a bench, get up, walk the other halfway. And friends that have known me my whole life know that already, you know? So they just know that it's not as consistent A to B straight there.
Did it make you feel fatigued when you're doing it? Not really. Is it painful or no?
It can be. I think like some of that now is just honestly aging though.
Yeah.
And I have to remind some folks of that, family and friend wise too, that have known me forever. They're like, but you used to do that so much. And I was like, but I was like 15 then too. Like, can you do what you did at 15? Probably not.
Right.
You know, and so I mean, yes, there's a lot that plays into both of that, but I think some of it is just kind of realizing the aging body. So I definitely want to like keep up again as much as I can to maintain or regain like whatever independence I can, because again, like folks I've worked with, they're like, don't end up where you don't want to end up. So and I just know the reality of that anyways. So
yeah,
because my family doesn't live local anymore, so I'm the only.
Really?
Yeah, no, well, yeah, because my oldest sister is in Asia. My parents and younger brother live in Craig, which is like 6 hours away, and then my twin sister and brother-in-law live in Virginia. So as much as we've all grown up here and everybody's always known that the Morgans are here, like it's just solely Mandy Morgan left.
Wow.
But like, so there's a lot of that too, where I'm like, I have to take care of myself because I'm like solely here. So if, you know, goodness forbid, like I did the splits and ended up backwards upside down somewhere, like it's just like, who do you call? Or like that's what they would ask, and it's like the nearest person even within all that 6 hours away. So
damn.
Good luck with that or something, you know. So there's just the reality of that too, and just aging and everything with life too. Like our parents aren't going to be here forever, and I also don't want to put that on them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they raised me to get and be as independent as I am, and I'm going to do that as long as I can for myself, obviously, because that's what I wanted as well, but also really for them. It's like, because nobody, you know, wants to like revert back and put that on somebody else. No,
that's true. I mean, the fact that you're doing this all by yourself with no family support at all, like that's empowering. That's crazy.
They support me in the ways that they can from a distance. Like I talk to my mom like at least every other couple days, you know, just so that they know I'm good. Cause, you know, and like I was saying when you got here, like I'm the person that calls people. So when I don't, they're like, did you like fall down?
Yeah, are you okay?
Yeah, that's usually what it is. They're like, are you in the rabbit hole of Alice in Wonderland? Like that's the running joke kind of thing. Cause they're like, you haven't, I mean, I'm not that neurotic of calling, but it's just, I'm known to like keep communication open with people to where if it's not there, they're like, so I just like try to let people know like, yeah, I'm good. This is, you know, and just as family, you have like normal conversations and just let them know you're good. But then that's also like having adult children. And I'm sure, I mean, yeah, you just kind of, as a family, just keep everybody in the loop. But like we all do our own thing too. And that's what they wanted for me. And there have been times in my life too, where I've had to almost not remind them, but let them know too. Like that was all like, yes, as a minor, that was your guys' decision. But also as a 5-year-old, if I didn't want to do it, and they knew that, and you know that, everyone of the orneriness, if I didn't want to do it, I'm not doing shit. So like,
yeah,
it was just kind of like, so I still knew like if this could, even at that very young of an age, if this could make me as able-bodied as I'm ever able to be, I'm going for that, because that's what, as much as I love myself for who I am, that there's still that side or that little Mandy or whatever that's just like, able-bodied, can you come over here? You know, like, can that be my turn now? So
wow, that's amazing.
So I still wanted that at that young of an age, and yeah, if I didn't, I'd be like, no, because the therapist still had to ask you, and surgeons, or because I'll get into that next, but they had to like ask my permission even as a minor, like, are you down with it? Like, and I had to, understand it to the best of my ability at the time. But I have had like at least 20 orthopedic surgeries, like 4 eye surgeries, and then like
Damn.
6 miscellaneous ones. But
Wow.
yeah, it just came to the point as a child where it was like, oh, what date and time do you show up? Because it was just that time to do it. So I just did what I needed to do, and I wouldn't again change any of it for the world. But if I could wake up tomorrow too and just have like an hour, I'd be like, oh my god, this is awesome.
Wow.
So, I mean, yeah, there's both sides.
Yeah, I mean, damn. Yeah, that's pretty deep.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. What would you?
I always do that. People are like, what the hell do you leave me with telling me that?
No,
it's just so.
It's profound. It is.
Yeah,
It's deep.
Yeah, that's why I enjoy sharing my story too, because it's like you get to see that perspective of life. So
Absolutely. So what would you tell? Let me see. What would you tell 18-year-old Mandy? At your age right now, what would you tell her if you saw her? As far as like life and just dealing with adversity and being let me see, self-confidence.
I think to keep it like short and brief, I just say like keep doing what you're doing because you've already done it. Like
that's perfect.
Like, because that's been your whole life, and you know that you can do it beyond what the world thinks of you because you've just made it this far. So just as cliche as it sounds, like really keep going, and you won't like. There's so many looking back. Wow, this is philosophical for me, but looking back at like 18 to now, like what I really did come across, achieve all that. It's like you are gonna get there in the way that where you're supposed to end up. Like I feel like even today, I woke up today and I was like, I'm texting Patrick, like we're doing this thing because I've said that like for 2 weeks. I'm gonna call you and do it. Like and
you did.
It was just like literally like that. Today is the day for that. So like everything is just like you're gonna get where you need to be in that day. Like looking back on that, I moved out from my parents a week after I graduated high school. On my own to my first apartment. I got my dog 6 days later. He was 8 weeks old. And like enrolled into Front Range Community College to start school. Like I just like, this is what you do. You move out at 18 or like, because we grew up in the generation where you're still able to somewhat do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did what was always like growing up. It was always like, you turn 18, you move out, like just as a joke. But I was like, I'm totally serious. Like, bye. And like my best girlfriend and I like packed up her one car to the ceiling of her car. And as you're here now, it's obviously not a ceiling of a car left,
no.
But it's just like, that's all I had. And I didn't even have my dog yet, but I always knew like I wanted a dog growing up. We just couldn't. And it literally just took me 6 days. And I was like, I have a dog. So I like raised a dog, put myself through college, like have never been late on bills. I was like, this is just what you do. And so looking back on that, it's almost like you can have everything, just even getting the dog and independence in that sense that you've ever always like been told you should or that you've always wanted.
You really are a unicorn, huh?
What?
You really are a unicorn.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
There's like
you need a little cone up here.
Oh, I got like 6.
Okay.
Just kidding. I do it. I have a whole. I'll show you someday. It's a whole collection of unicorn horns. That's like the running gag gift too. Is like anything unicorn. Very obviously, it's just like it's Mandy's house. But
no, that's dope. Oh, sorry.
That's fine.
That's my alarm for some reason. I don't know why. I'm not even taking a nap, but anyway, I'm gonna edit that part out. All right.
It's all good. This has been like everything and anything, which I love though. I love doing this. I wanted to do like, and too, like a podcast forever. So I'm glad that you were the initial one.
Absolutely. I think you should do a podcast in general. I think you have an incredible story. You can help a lot of people and even maybe talk to other people too.
Mm-hmm.
about anything.
I'll guest co-host all the time. Like,
Absolutely.
totally. Like, this has been so much fun.
Yeah, it's dope. Like it makes me look at you in a whole different light.
Mm-hmm.
It does, like on a respect level. Like I really
Thank
respect.
you.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
I
no,
know usually it's like 5 minutes a day. You're like, hi, bye. Like, nobody
I
knows.
know
So I just
exactly.
hit that. But, like, you just, I mean, but even in those short times, like, I've met, like, some of the most profound people that I've come across, or just, like, discussionarily wise, like, through that platform that we've met.
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep that I mean,
Yeah,
sure.
confidential.
But, yeah, it's just like, but who would have known? Like, maybe that was how it was supposed to be for, like,
I mean,
how we've met. Yeah,
you took the initiative to even come on, so that's huge. I mean, you and I talked about you doing something. It's like, here you go.
I know, but I felt so bad though. I was like, I said that because I'm not a person that's like, oh, and then just like gets back to you a year later. Like,
I understand. I mean, my back was messed up for a while, so I took some time off. I said, I'm not doing shit right now.
And just these last 2 weeks have been really busy in life, but I was like, I'm definitely doing that because I've talked about it for so much ever, and I've listened to your episodes, and I'm like, I just adore your like, I don't know if it, like I
content presence.
yeah, just all that, like how you get all the people that you've had on, like, message across with deep respect, like, for them and for you, for how you do that, and like allow for people to have that time to tell what they want to tell or say. Like, some of this, I'm like, I can't believe I said that, because there are going to be people that listen to that and just don't even know, but at the same time, it's like, it's my story, and if I wanted to tell it, I can.
That's
like
facts.
I tell like like even close friends of mine, like, if they, I'm like, I don't want to speak on someone else's if it's not my story to tell. So, like, I often, like, in relation to, like, disability too, I always just, if you've noticed, I like say in my experience, because I don't want it to be like a generalized, this is what this is for everyone. But just in life too, I'm like, I'm not going to speak on that until they've had a chance to speak on it themselves, because that's just, like, in a way, like, nobody's business. But yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but it's just,
I found you intriguing.
I appreciate being able to, like, get to tell it without people being like, oh, like, cut in and, like, try to switch the narrative up, because it might be uncomfortable for some too. Like I said, but when we started this, I'm an open book. I'll answer and ask everything, and like, no holds barred. Like, I've been asked some really weird stuff at, like, guest speaking appearances too after I've said that, and it's like, well, I'm gonna answer that because I said that, and then it's like, for whatever reason, that needed to be shared and said. Yep. But I'm glad, like, it came from how I experienced that, rather than someone's assumptions of it, or what they read somewhere or something like that, assuming that that's me.
You ever wanted kids, adopt kids?
I do. I always, yes. Mm-hmm. I've always, like, again, because I've loved kids, I always figured, because I've wanted to be a mom since I was like 4.5.
Damn. Okay.
Off and on, obviously.
Okay,
like, obviously,
right.
At that age, just like when my mom brought my younger brother home, I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, we just have, like, people come in, and I just always, like, as weird as that sounds, I was just like, this is, I don't know. Like, I just wanted to care for people, and I have that, like I said earlier, like, I just am drawn to being a caretaker of people, and just young people too. Like, they just find me the most intriguing. Like, yesterday, that circumstance I mentioned earlier, mm-hmm. They, like, wanted to ask so bad, and I wish the mom would have, but again, it was like in lines circumstance, so we couldn't just, like, do that whole thing. But just seeing how, just, it'd be cool to see, and I often say this too, just like an able-bodied version of myself. Like, I say my twin is me, how I always assumed I would be, but, like, to really see, like, me and another would be like, that's the purpose of that, like, for my legacy, kind of, like, for them to be like, my mom was the one that did this or that within whatever I do to change the world. Like, that would be so cool for them to be so proud of that.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I'm proud of you now. I mean, seriously.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm sure people in this building proud of you too.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
I'm a good neighbor. I hope they, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, in whichever way it presents itself, I would love to, because I do get offered or asked that a lot. Is like in a way of not knowing. Like people are like, "Is that possible?" This, that, and the other, and it's like, I mean, it, as far as I know, it is, but it just when the time is right, however it presents for me to be a caretaker to somebody else, like I really feel like I would just like gracefully fall into that role just because I've always dreamt of like having that.
I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you definitely have that presence about yourself.
Yeah.
For sure. Wow. So what is your ultimate goal in life?
In life?
Yeah, in life. It can be anything. It can be just what you're doing as far as like being an advocate or making laws change or being a better cook. I don't know. Whatever you want to do.
That's so like hard to say because I've always said that I want to be like the ripple in the pond that like long after I'm gone, I'm still here somehow.
Mm-hmm. Well, your legacy, right?
Yeah, like whether it's through like me being in a book somewhere of like I was that girl, I don't know, or just like through generations, like so it's all those things that I've previously mentioned or you just brought up, like because that's what makes Mandy, like that's the unicorn sparkle. It's just like all those things make up the kaleidoscope of who I am. But I would just want my purpose to exceed like the circumstance I had to go through for it to come to be, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. I get what you mean.
But like just all the way back to the beginning kind of with the conversation, just to know like if I were to exit or when I do, like this whole existence for all the hardships, all the rewarding stuff, all the difference I did make. I mean, even the orthopedic surgeon or orthopedic doctor who did my surgeries came to my college graduation. Like,
wow.
Just those things, because, I mean, it's just like, that's a huge, and I'm pretty sure he was just like, wow, like, this is somebody, like, at such a young age I did all that for, and, like, she's here doing her thing, so, yeah, it's just through everything that my soul has, like, traveled in this little, like, just to have that, yeah, just for whatever reason it manifests as what it's meant to is, I don't know, that's really philosophical, but
no, I like that.
I would of course love to learn to cook too and have like all the everyday stuff, but just to know like my existence mattered somewhere, like whether it was just because I helped somebody find sobriety, like she said, or just because of my being in a wheelchair, which I still sometimes I'm like, that's interesting how she just was like, hardships need to be overcome. And yeah, and just to make a difference and have it be known long after my time, for like just the future mini Mandys or whatever to be like read about it, know about it, be like, if she can do it, I can do it too. Like that's where all my guest speaking appearances have come from going to like all the schools I went to or just within the district back when I did that, just to be like, this is a presence as anyone in your classes too. Like, I don't know, kind of like the Michelle Obama of cryptastics. I don't know, just how, just to be who someone else strives to be for it to make the most sense for me when I'm done.
Damn, that was deep. I felt that. Wow. Round of applause. That was amazing.
I felt it too. I was like,
you about to cry, huh?
A little bit. Like, that was just crazy. I was like, there's the answer right there. Like, for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I see that. I see your eyes. I do. It's okay. It's all right.
It's fine. Like, I wouldn't, again, I keep reiterating this, but I wouldn't change any of it for the world, but you just still, you just kind of want to know like why sometimes, but the why is in the everyday for whoever you impact. So yeah, like
wow.
whether it's like the mailman or something, you're just like, I mean, because you really, again, with everything I've said, you really just don't know. So like with anybody, like you don't know that, like, yeah, whatever you've said or done, like takes it on for somebody else till they come to you a year later and they're like, because of you, maybe that'll be me. Because of you, I like finally did the podcast hump and all this stuff. So it's just like knowing that every single person, as cliche as this sounds, like makes up the whole entire puzzle for unity and like just making this world a better world.
Right. Make it better than, well, let it be better than when we came. Like leave it. I can't even talk right. My bad. I can't even talk right. Lord have mercy.
It's all
yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm butchering it right now. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Wow. But nah, like I think you can do some really, big things. And I think you should do a podcast, because podcast, as far as you speaking about legacy, that will be your legacy, because you documented your life, your stories, and even being philosophical, you can document your ideas and the way you think.
Yeah.
Especially when you long gone, people can always go back to that. They can revert back to your content.
That's what's awesome. I think you mentioned that once.
I did.
Yeah.
I told it to this other dude. Well, it's not this dude, but this woman I met. She's 99 years old.
Oh wow.
And she has a great granddaughter. And I said, you need to record your life, like document yourself while you're still alive. I ain't trying to push death on her at all, but I'm just saying she's 99 years old. I don't know how long she have. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's like and I think life just in general over recent years for me is just like you really realize kind of what I mentioned earlier. It's just like, I mean, we've said this all throughout life just as human beings, but it's hit, I don't know if it's harder or weirder or just like more to the core of like, we only have so much time.
Yes, exactly.
And maybe that is from like recent losses of like the last decade or so, where it's just like, whoa. Because when I grew up, like, or as I grew up, I didn't have like any loss until I was like 12 the first time. So it like, you'd like, as often as, my parents growing up, they said like they grew up in the Midwest, you went to funerals like once a month sometimes, because older generations just like passed a lot easier than they do now. Like they didn't live as long, so you just went to funerals a lot more often. And then after, that time at like 12 years old, I didn't have it again until my friend passed away at like 25. And so you just kind of go through these gaps. And then once that happened, it was like more consistent with like what was happening in the world, with just stuff that like people, I mean, dare I say like addiction stuff, because that's how my friend passed. And it just like the world changed, like just with tragic things. Like people are just going more often than it ever seemed to. Like it used to be like it would be like a freak accident or because of aging, but nowadays it's because literally and figuratively got hit by a bus or something. Like it's just the most randomest stuff where you're like, what?
Right. And then with the drugs now, they got some fentanyl. They got all kind of things that you don't even know what's in it, and people are dropping dead from it, which is pretty scary and sad.
And so just with that, it's like just really value your time and like know where it's valued again and where you want to give it, and give of yourself, because knowing where it's valued is where it's like best spent. Like who wants to spin wheels knowing like it's not appreciated somewhere, when like tomorrow it could be like, here comes the asteroid, and that's it. Yeah. So
you might not wake up the next day. I mean, it happens all the time.
Exactly. So
do you have any last words that you want to give to the people?
No.
Or to yourself?
But I do have to say this, and I think I kind of said it earlier, this experience has just been really awesome, and I don't know, I just really enjoyed this afternoon, and I'm glad I got to do it. And
me too. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been fun. I like it. It's like,
it's very informative.
Yeah, like you always kind of like, that's like this will be kind of funny to say, but like even watching like the Ellen show back in the day when it was on, it was like because she'd bring people on that like did huge like philanthropistic stuff or something where they like made a difference wherever they were. And it was like, oh, cool. I want to, like, that would be so fun to be, like, on a show like that where you get to be known for what you did. And instead of the Ellen show, I got to be on the Patrick show.
I appreciate that. Yes. And I'm not even famous yet, but we'll see how things go down the road.
Well, this is where it's at now, though, because they don't even have, like, things on TV. Like, there's not.
Like Jenny Jones, Geraldo, they don't have those shows like that no more.
Those shows were really bizarre too. It's like
they were, yeah.
My teenager eats snakes. You're like, hey, but I'll still watch it. But no, but like even just I mean, even Ellen was on for a long time, but she did stuff for like the humanity of like people more because that's also like through what because her platform is adversive too, so I think she just wanted people to be known for like how they make a difference in the world and that everybody can too, like the Just Keep Swimming, she always would like quote that, and besides the fact that she was Dory and that's where it came from, but she would always just tell people to keep going, and then her like sign off line was always like be kind to each other. And I mean, even outside of that, I've always just said like similar things to people. It's just like I tell my nieces and nephews, like, just be good. Like, I mean, be good and do good, you know, because even from such a young age, you could be like the one person that changes like a first grader's life. You just never know. So
no, you don't.
Just be good and do good is, I guess, where.
Well, this one dude, this older man I know, he always say it's all good. That's what he say every time I
say leave. It's all good all the
time. Yeah, because the thing about he say it is all good. He said because no matter what, it's all good. As long as we still here breathing and we have another day to make a difference in life, it's all good. And I'm like, I gotta start implementing that into my mentality. I mean, I try to at least, but sometimes we get caught up in our own life at times.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to work on that by beating my brain with that.
Yeah, it's kind of just it's all good. Like
yeah, it is
because it's all like to kind of get like on a more like religious, like spiritual side of that. It is all for the like it is all still good because no matter like what like path you're on, there's a reason for that, and it's all like in the end you'll know why. So like there's that saying you will probably see on Instagram a lot or whatever where it's like if it didn't work out, trust me, it worked out for you. And that's kind of where I was going with that too, is like there's always something like watching out. So, like, even when it seems like, oh my God, this day was just so shitty, it's like, but,
Yeah.
There's a reason for that.
Right, exactly.
And so to really just be like, again, like you said, thankful for waking up the next day because you get to find out why maybe that day was shittier because you can make this day good, whether it's for yourself or someone else. So
absolutely. And every day's a new day, a brand new start.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Mandy, you very philosophical. This has been a pleasure. And give out your social media if you want people to follow you.
Oh, yes. On Facebook, I am Marvelous Mandy Morgan. And on Instagram, I am The Dooley Girl. Dooley means unbreakable beauty. And that was also from my friend that passed away. And that's also just stuck because he wanted me to find the unbreakable beauty in myself as well as just life.
That's deep. So, well, my condolences to you once again.
Thank you.
Jeez.
But see, also within my sharing of him consistently, still his legacy lives on, and I think that.
What was his name?
His name was Austin Powers, actually.
Austin Powers. Okay. Mm-hmm. What, like the movie?
Yep.
Oh, that's what I had to think about it. Yeah, baby. Yeah, I had to think about
it. He did that all the time, and I'm sure he would love that. Like,
yeah.
Even earlier today, I was like, like I feel like he's on my wrist all the time too, because he always said he always said the key to happiness is knowing that you have love in it, so it's a heart key.
Oh, wow.
Or love in life, and then you would say I love you, and then this one also is what he would say too, and it says love for life and beyond. His sister added the and beyond after he passed to it, but we put it, this is his handwriting, and we put it against one of my cerebral palsy scars because that also represents like the Dooley theme of being like the most beautiful part of me is my cerebral palsy. So I put it there. So
he was very philosophical himself. Oh, wow. That's why you guys clicked. Okay.
Yeah. No, that like literally from the moment we met, it was just like we physically collided into each other, and he just like that story is so funny too because like normally when you collide into somebody, like they don't normally go because they don't have balance. So he was probably just like, what the.
Yeah.
Because that's not normal. And then we literally like sat in the last two seats of the class that we were in together in high school because we were both late. And that's why we were like trying to run to get into the door. And then he just like looked at me and said like, sorry about that. And just like never again, like I mentioned before, like questioned it. He was just like, she's just kind of, you know, and like that's what I appreciated about him too. Like I said, because it was never like what was wrong or different about me. I was just his Dooley girl, and it was just like the coolest thing. So I like to carry that on too, and like how he was with people, I want to be with people. And I saw a quote on Instagram too, or just any social media thing where it was like, be how the people who have passed like wanted to be or already were. And I think I've done my best in always having his presence still here and sharing about him because that's the difference he would have made in the world. I really do feel like that.
Wow. Well, shout out to Austin Powers and rest in peace.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Love
I mean,
you, buddy.
you think about him a lot, huh?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I could tell you feeling a certain kind of
Yeah.
I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jeez,
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. I know it's been a long time, but it doesn't, still a
No,
sore spot.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just, I think it's just how he had to go is like, again, like when, as we were, as you get older in the world, you realize like how the world can be kind of unkind with that.
Oh my God. Yeah. Super unkind.
Mm-hmm.
It's relentless.
Yeah. And so it's just, but no, I would say like, because people ask me a lot, like, do you still grieve it? And I'm like, I don't think I'm sad about it anymore. Like, of course, there are moments where you're like,
well, you miss them, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because you just know that they should still be here and like what it would mean for them to be a part of things. But I like that's the whole thing with like when people pass is how you take them along with you still. So they're still like he's right here right now. I swear to God, he probably is. Hey, like they just are, and the people you've lost are with you all the time. It really is a true thing, I feel like. And so just realizing like when big things happen, it's like, oh, they would have loved that. And I think that's where it gets the most sad. But no, I love sharing his story and just his presence in my life because he was just such an exuberant, like there was just such an essence where it's like, how do you even bottle that up into one person? And I think I've kind of been that way with my unicornism. Like I say, I explode sparkles. Like it's just, like there are certain people in this world that are just larger than life, and he was one of them for sure. So
damn, well, rest in peace, Austin Powers, once again. Seriously.
Yep.
Jeez.
But yes, do good and be good is where I would leave everything. So
that's profound.
Thank you.
Profound as fuck, okay?
Yes.
Jeez. Well, this has really been fun, and please stay tuned in for the next episode. Is anything else you want to say?
Thank you to everyone that tuned in, and I hope everyone loves this. And hope everyone has a great, I don't know how cliche this sounds, but has a great life. Like, just live your best you.
There you go. There you have it. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned in for the next episode. All right. Peace.
Peace.
All right. You did good, though.
That was